For over 1,000 years, Japan created buildings that moved, breathed, and aged like living things. Homes without permanent walls, temples without excessive decoration, and spaces where nature became part of the architecture. But behind this simplicity was a powerful idea that the modern world forgot. Today, cities around the world are becoming larger, faster, and more complex. Yet many people are looking back at Japan's ancient architecture for answers to problems created by modern life, stress, disconnection, and the loss of harmony with nature. At first glance, traditional Japanese buildings seem simple. Empty rooms, wooden structures, and minimal decoration might appear ordinary. But every detail carries centuries of philosophy, culture, and a completely different understanding of what a building should be. Unlike many architectural traditions that tried to dominate the environment, Japan developed a style that adapted to it. The goal was not to defeat nature, but to live alongside it, allowing seasons, light, and landscapes to become part of the design. The origins of this architecture can be traced back between the 8th and 19th centuries, during a period when Japan's cultural identity was shaped by Buddhism, Shinto beliefs, and local craftsmanship. During this time, Japan faced unique challenges. Earthquakes, humidity, limited resources, and changing weather conditions forced builders to rethink how structures should be created. Instead of using massive stone walls like many civilizations, Japanese craftsmen turned to wood. This material offered flexibility, warmth, and a connection to the natural world that reflected deeper cultural values. Wooden structures could move during earthquakes instead of breaking completely. They could be repaired, modified, and passed through generations. The building was not seen as something frozen in time, but as something constantly changing. This created a completely different relationship between people and architecture. A Japanese home was not a permanent object placed against nature. It was a temporary shelter that existed together with its surroundings. One of the most revolutionary ideas was the connection between interior and exterior spaces. Gardens, courtyards, and landscapes were not decorations outside the building. They were extensions of the living environment. Traditional houses used elements like shoji screens and fusuma sliding doors, allowing rooms to transform depending on the needs of the moment. A single space could become a dining room, workspace, or meditation area. This flexibility reflected a deeper philosophy: architecture should serve life, not force life to adapt to architecture. Spaces were designed around human experiences rather than fixed functions. Another important concept was wabi-sabi, the appreciation of imperfection and the beauty of time. Unlike cultures that valued flawless and permanent objects, Japan found meaning in aging materials and natural changes. A cracked wooden surface, faded color, or worn stone was not considered damage. It was evidence of history, memory, and the passage of time. The building became a storyteller. Religious architecture pushed these ideas even further. Temples were not only places of worship but also environments designed to create emotional and spiritual experiences. Structures like Tadaiji demonstrated how architecture could represent something greater than human ambition. Their scale, materials, and connection to tradition created spaces where people felt connected to history and spirituality. But traditional Japanese architecture was not created by a single person. It was the result of generations of anonymous craftsmen who developed techniques through patience, observation, and deep respect for natural materials. Later figures such as Sen no Rikyu transformed Japanese aesthetics by promoting simplicity, balance, and the idea that ordinary experiences could reveal extraordinary beauty. The Kotsura Imperial Villa became one of the greatest examples of this philosophy. Its harmony between gardens, natural materials, and controlled simplicity influenced architects around the world. However, this tradition faced criticism as Japan modernized. Many argued that traditional buildings were inefficient, expensive to maintain, and unable to satisfy the demands of rapidly growing cities. Supporters of modernization believed new technologies were essential. Concrete, steel, and high-rise structures represented speed, strength, and the promise of progress. But others questioned what was sacrificed in this transformation. They argued that modern architecture often created functional spaces while ignoring human emotions, comfort, and the connection between people and nature. This debate continues today. Should buildings only serve practical purposes, or should they also shape our emotions, behaviors, and relationship with the environment? In recent decades, traditional Japanese principles have experienced a global revival. Architects are rediscovering ideas of simplicity, sustainability, natural materials, and flexible spaces. Modern homes inspired by Japanese design combine advanced technology with ancient concepts. They use natural light, greenery, open layouts, and minimalism to create calmer and more meaningful environments. This influence can now be seen everywhere, from minimalist interiors to sustainable architecture movements. What began centuries ago in Japan has become a global search for balance. Perhaps the reason Japanese architecture remains so powerful is because it answers a modern question: how can we design spaces that improve the way we live? Traditional Japanese architecture teaches that beauty does not always come from complexity. Sometimes, it comes from knowing what to remove, what to preserve, and what to allow to evolve. These buildings survived not because they resisted time, but because they accepted change. They show that architecture is not only about creating structures that last forever. It is about creating spaces that connect people with nature, memory, and the experience of everyday life. The true secret of Japanese architecture was never just wood, gardens, or empty spaces. It was a philosophy that placed humans within nature instead of above it. In a world filled with noise and artificial environments, these ancient ideas feel more relevant than ever. Japanese architecture reminds us that innovation is not always about creating something new, but sometimes about rediscovering what we have forgotten.